Someone knocks on my 12th floor window every night. I never liked very tall apartments. I always had that strange feeling of looking out the window and imagining someone watching me from outside, even though I knew that was impossible, especially on the 12th floor. But when I found that apartment for an absurdly cheap price downtown, I completely ignored the discomfort. I needed to leave my parents' house urgently. I needed silence. I needed to be alone. So I signed the contract without thinking twice. The realtor seemed nervous during the visit. She avoided looking directly at the living room windows. At the time, I thought it was strange, but didn't care much. Before leaving, she only said one sentence that stayed stuck in my head. "If you hear something during the night, don't open the window." I laughed. I thought she was joking. She didn't laugh back. On the first night, everything seemed normal. The apartment was small but cozy. The city lights illuminated part of the living room, and the silence on that floor was almost absolute. Almost, because at exactly 3:07 in the morning, I heard the first sound. Knock. I slowly opened my eyes, still sleepy. Knock. It seemed to come from the living room window. I stayed still, trying to understand. Maybe some branch. Maybe pipes. Maybe rain. Then I heard it again. Knock. 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 This time louder. I sat up in bed, feeling a chill run through my arms. My bedroom faced the hallway leading to the living room, and even without directly seeing the window, I could hear it perfectly. Knock. 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 I got up slowly, trying to stay rational. My heart was racing for a stupid reason. It was impossible for someone to knock on a 12th floor window. Simply impossible. When I reached the living room, the sound stopped. The silence became so heavy, my ears started ringing. I stood there staring at the closed curtain, too afraid to pull it open. Then my phone vibrated on top of the couch. Unknown number. I answered immediately, maybe just to break the tension. But nobody spoke on the other side. Only a low breathing sound. Slow. Almost muffled. Hello? Nothing. Then I heard an extremely raspy male voice whispering, "Don't look outside." The call ended instantly. My entire body went cold. I stared at my phone, trying to understand what had just happened. That's when I heard another sound. Now behind me, knock. I almost jumped in fear. The noise came directly from the window glass. Very close. Slowly I turned my face and saw something pressing against the curtain from outside, as if there was a hand touching the glass. My heart started pounding so hard I thought I would pass out. I took a few steps back, unable to breathe properly. Then the hand slowly slid across the curtain, scratching the glass. Knock. 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 I ran to the bedroom and locked the door immediately. I spent the rest of the night awake, listening to those knocks coming from the living room, always in the same rhythm. Knock, knock, knock. Sometimes slow, sometimes fast, but they never stopped completely. When morning finally came, I gathered the courage to look at the window. There was nobody there. No marks. Nothing. I spent the entire day trying to convince myself it had all been my imagination. Maybe a neighbor? Maybe stress? Maybe I was overreacting. Until I found the first strange thing inside the apartment, written behind the living room curtain, in small letters scratched into the wall. "He climbs every night." I stood frozen in the middle of the living room, staring at the words behind the curtain. "He climbs every night." The letters looked scratched into the wall with something sharp, not painted, not written, carved. My stomach twisted immediately. I touched the marks carefully and realized the plaster around them was cracked, as if someone had pressed their nails deep into the wall. I suddenly remembered the realtor's face, the way she avoided looking at the windows, the warning before leaving. A cold feeling crawled up my spine. That night, I tried convincing myself I was overreacting. I ordered food, watched random videos on my phone, and kept every light in the apartment turned on. By midnight, I was exhausted. By 2:40 in the morning, I was lying awake, staring at the ceiling, unable to sleep. Then my phone vibrated again. Unknown number. My chest tightened immediately. I answered in silence. At first, I heard nothing. Then a woman whispered on the other side, "Did you look outside?" Her voice sounded terrified. "No, who is this?" Instead of answering, she started crying softly. "You need to leave that apartment." A chill spread through my entire body. "What are you talking about?" Then the line suddenly filled with static, and through the noise I heard it again. Knock, knock, knock. This time louder than before. The sound echoed through the apartment, like someone hitting the glass with their entire hand. The woman gasped. "Oh God, he found you." The call ended immediately. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped my phone. Then came another sound. Something was dragging across the outside of the window, slowly, like nails scraping the glass. I covered my mouth, trying not to breathe too loudly. The scratching continued. Closer. Longer. More aggressive. Then suddenly it stopped. Silence. A horrible, suffocating silence. And then I heard a voice outside the window. Low, wet, barely human. "Let me in." Every muscle in my body locked instantly. I stared at the hallway leading to the living room, unable to move. Then I noticed something even worse. Water. Thin streams of water were slowly sliding from beneath the living room curtain, as if something soaking wet was standing outside. My heart pounded painfully inside my chest. I grabbed the nearest kitchen knife and forced myself to walk toward the living room, step by step, trying not to panic. The apartment felt colder with every second. When I finally reached the hallway, I saw the curtain moving slightly on its own. Not from wind, from pressure. Something was leaning against it from outside. Tall. Too tall. Its shape pressed unnaturally against the fabric. I could see long fingers slowly dragging downward across the curtain. "Sure." The voice came again. Closer this time. "I know you're awake." Tears filled my eyes instantly. I wanted to run. I wanted to scream, but my body refused to move. Then the curtain suddenly jerked hard toward the glass, as if something outside had slammed into the window. Knock, knock, knock. The entire apartment shook, and for one horrifying second, I saw the silhouette clearly through the fabric. A human shape, standing upside down outside my 12th floor window, smiling at me through the curtain. I couldn't breathe. The silhouette remained outside the window completely still, upside down, as if it were attached to the building like a spider. My legs felt weak. I slowly backed away from the living room without taking my eyes off the curtain. Then the thing outside moved, its head tilted sharply to one side, too far, farther than a human neck should bend. And suddenly it started laughing, a low broken laugh that sounded wet and hollow at the same time. I ran to my bedroom and slammed the door shut. The apartment immediately fell silent again. No scratching. No knocking. Nothing. I stood there shaking, uncontrollably with the knife still, in my hand trying to convince myself this wasn't real. But then my bedroom window rattled violently. Knock. I nearly screamed. Slowly I turned toward the curtains beside my bed. Knock. 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 The sound was now coming from inside my room. No. I stepped backward until my legs hit the bed. The curtain moved slightly. Then I saw fingers slowly wrapping around the fabric from the outside. Long, pale fingers dripping water onto the floor. My heart felt like it stopped. The thing had climbed to my bedroom window. I lived on the 12th floor. That should have been impossible. Then my phone rang again. Unknown number. I answered immediately, barely able to speak. "What do you want from me?" The woman from before sounded terrified. "You looked at it, didn't you?" I couldn't answer. She started crying harder. That's how it chooses people. A cold wave passed through my entire body. "What is it?" For a moment, she stayed silent. Then she whispered, "It used to be human." The scratching on my window became louder. The glass trembled violently. I could hear breathing outside. Heavy, excited, almost desperate. The woman kept talking quickly like she was running out of time. "Whatever happens, don't open the curtain." I already saw it. Silence. Then I heard her whisper something that made my blood freeze. "Then it already knows your face." At that exact moment, the bedroom lights went out. Darkness swallowed the room instantly. I gasped and turned on my phone flashlight with shaking hands. The weak light illuminated the bed, the walls, the floor, and wet footprints leading from the window to the center of my bedroom. My entire body went numb, because the footprints hadn't been there before. Which meant one thing. Something was already inside the apartment with me. Then I heard breathing. Right behind me, I froze completely. The breathing behind me was slow, heavy, wet. I could feel cold air touching the back of my neck. For several seconds, I couldn't move, couldn't think, couldn't even breathe properly. Then the sound came again, closer this time, almost against my ear. "You shouldn't have looked at me." My entire body trembled violently. I turned around so fast I nearly fell. The flashlight from my phone shook across the room. Nothing. The bedroom was empty, but the wet footprints on the floor had moved. Now they led toward my bedroom door, as if something had quietly walked out while I was frozen in fear. I stared at the hallway outside my room. Dark, silent. Then I heard a faint dripping sound somewhere inside the apartment. Plep, 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 like water falling onto wood. I wanted to stay locked inside the bedroom until sunrise. But deep down, I knew something horrible was moving through my apartment, and if I stayed still long enough, it would come back for me. So I forced myself to step into the hallway. The floor felt freezing beneath my feet. Every light in the apartment had gone out, except for the weak glow from my phone. The dripping sound continued. Plep, plep, plep. Coming from the kitchen, I walked slowly, gripping the knife so hard my fingers hurt. When I finally reached the kitchen entrance, my stomach dropped instantly. Water covered the floor. Not a small puddle. The entire kitchen was soaked. Cabinet doors hung open. Plates and glasses were scattered everywhere. And written across the refrigerator in dripping black letters were 3 words. "Look outside now." I backed away immediately, shaking my head. No. Then every cabinet door slammed shut at once. Bang. I screamed and stumbled backward. The apartment suddenly became freezing cold. My breath turned visible in the air. Then came the knocking again. Knock, knock, knock. But this time it wasn't coming from the window. It was coming from inside the walls. The sound echoed through the entire apartment. Knock, knock, Knock. Closer. Louder. As if something was moving inside the walls surrounding me. I ran toward the front door, desperate to escape. But when I grabbed the handle, it wouldn't move. The door was locked. I pulled harder. Nothing. Then slowly I noticed water leaking from beneath the front door. Dark water. Almost black. And I heard voices outside. Dozens of them whispering at the same time. Open the door. Let us in. Come outside. Tears filled my eyes. I stepped away from the entrance, shaking uncontrollably. Then the elevator outside dinged loudly. Ding! The whispers stopped instantly. Silence filled the hallway outside. And then I heard footsteps approaching my apartment. Slow. Dragging. Wet. Step. Drag. Step. Drag. They stopped directly in front of my door. For a moment, nothing happened. Then someone softly knocked. Knock. 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 And a familiar female voice whispered from the other side. It's me. It was the woman from the phone calls. But something about her voice sounded wrong, like she was smiling while speaking. Then she whispered again. Open the door. And right behind me, I suddenly heard another voice inside the apartment. The same wet, raspy voice from the window. She's lying. I spun around so fast my phone nearly slipped from my hand. The apartment behind me was dark and empty, but I knew the voice had come from somewhere nearby. Inside the apartment, my breathing became uneven. The woman outside knocked again. Knock, knock, knock. Please let me in. She sounded terrified now. Desperate. But the wet voice behind me whispered again. She already opened the window once. My blood turned cold. I backed away from the front door, unable to decide who was lying. Then suddenly the woman outside started screaming. A horrible, terrified scream that echoed through the hallway. Don't open the door. Something slammed violently against the other side of the entrance. Boom. The walls shook. Another impact came immediately after. Boom. I heard furniture falling somewhere outside in the hallway. Then silence. Complete silence. For several seconds, all I could hear was my own heartbeat. Slowly, I stepped closer to the door and looked through the peephole. At first, I saw nothing. Only darkness. Then a face suddenly appeared inches away from the peephole. I screamed and stumbled backward. It was the woman from the calls, or at least it looked like her. Her skin was pale gray. Water dripped from her hair, and her mouth stretched into an unnatural smile, much too wide for a human face. One of her eyes moved strangely, as if it were trying to look in a different direction from the other. She whispered through the door. He's behind you. A cold wave shot through my body, because I felt breathing directly against the back of my neck again. Slowly I turned around, and finally saw it clearly for the first time. The thing from the window. It was standing at the end of the hallway between the kitchen and the living room. Tall, unnaturally thin. Its arms almost touched the floor. Water dripped constantly from its body, forming dark puddles beneath its feet. Its face looked almost human, except for the mouth. The mouth stretched too far across its face, filled with tiny broken teeth, and its white eyes never blinked. The creature tilted its head slowly, watching me, then smiled wider. My body completely locked in fear. It raised one long finger toward the living room window. Come see. I shook my head immediately, crying now. No. The creature took one slow step closer. I heard bones cracking inside its legs as they bent wrong. Crack. Crack. Then all the apartment lights suddenly turned back on at once. The brightness made me gasp. And in that exact second, the creature disappeared. Gone. The hallway was empty again. I stood there frozen, trying to understand what had just happened. Then I noticed something horrifying. The front door was now slightly open. I knew I had locked it. Slowly, very slowly, the door creaked wider by itself, and from the dark hallway outside, dozens of wet footprints began walking into my apartment, one after another. I backed away in terror as the wet footprints continued appearing across the floor, one after another, as if invisible people were entering the apartment. The front door slowly opened wider on its own. Cold air flooded inside, carrying the smell of rain and something rotten. My hands shook so badly I almost dropped the knife. Then I heard whispers. Dozens of them. Coming from the hallway outside. You saw him? Now he knows you. You shouldn't have looked. The voices overlapped unnaturally, like many people speaking through the same throat. I slammed the front door shut with all my strength and locked it again. The whispers immediately stopped. Silence. But the wet footprints remained, leading deeper into my apartment. Toward the living room. Toward the window. My stomach twisted painfully. I didn't want to follow them. Every instinct screamed at me to run, but something about those footprints felt wrong. Almost familiar, so I forced myself to walk after them. Step by step, the apartment lights flickered weakly above me. When I reached the living room, my blood froze instantly. The curtain was wide open, and the window was unlocked. I was absolutely sure I had locked it earlier. Outside, the city looked strange. Too dark. Too quiet. Almost empty. No moving cars. No lights in the nearby buildings. Nothing. Then I noticed movement in the reflection of the glass. Something standing behind me. I turned around immediately. Nothing. But when I looked back at the window, the reflection was still there. A tall figure standing directly behind me, smiling, even though the room around me was empty. I stumbled backward, breathing hard. Then the reflection slowly raised one long arm and pointed downward. My eyes followed instinctively toward the street far below. At first I saw nothing. Then I noticed a crowd gathered directly beneath the building. Dozens of people standing perfectly still in the middle of the street, all staring upward at my apartment. Every single one of them smiling. A cold numbness spread through my body, because some of those faces looked familiar. The old woman from apartment 1205, the realtor, the building manager, even the woman from the phone calls, all standing together below the building looking directly at me. Then at the exact same moment, every person in the street slowly lifted one arm and pointed toward my window. Knock. The sound exploded behind me. I screamed and spun around. The creature was now standing inside the living room, only a few feet away. Water dripped from its body onto the floor. Its white eyes reflected the apartment lights, unnaturally bright, and its mouth stretched wider than before. You invited me in. I backed away, shaking uncontrollably. You're not real. The creature laughed softly, a horrible broken sound. Then it whispered, You already know what happens next. Suddenly, every light in the apartment shut off again. Darkness swallowed everything. And from somewhere deep inside the apartment, I heard another knock. Knock, this time coming from my bedroom closet. I stood frozen in the darkness, staring toward my bedroom hallway. Knock. The sound came again from inside the closet. Slow, heavy, deliberate. My chest tightened so hard it hurt. The creature in the living room had disappeared again. Or maybe I just couldn't see it anymore. The apartment was completely dark, except for the weak flashlight from my phone. I wanted to run outside, but the memory of those smiling people below the building stopped me immediately. Something was wrong with the entire place. The building, the hallway, maybe even the city outside. Then the closet knocked again. Knock, knock, knock. My phone suddenly vibrated in my hand. Unknown number, I answered instantly. The woman whispered urgently, Do not open the closet. I nearly cried hearing another human voice. What is happening to me? She stayed silent for a second, then answered softly, It's trying to replace you. A freezing sensation crawled across my skin. What do you mean replace me? Before she could answer, I heard movement inside the closet. Slow scratching. Like nails dragging across wood from the inside. The woman started breathing faster. You need to leave the apartment before 3:33. I looked at the time on my phone. 3:21 and my stomach dropped. What happens at 3:33? Silence. Then she whispered, That's when it stops pretending. The call suddenly cut off. At the exact same second, the closet door creaked open by itself. Very slowly. Darkness filled the inside. At first I saw nothing. Then 2 white eyes opened inside the closet. My entire body locked in fear. The eyes blinked once, and a voice came from inside. My voice, perfectly identical to mine. Help me. Tears filled my eyes immediately. No. The thing inside the closet crawled forward slowly, and I realized with horror that it looked exactly like me. Same face, same hair, same clothes, except its smile stretched too wide across its cheeks, and water poured constantly from its mouth. The copy tilted its head, watching me. Then it spoke again, using my exact voice. You already let me inside. I backed away, trembling uncontrollably. The copy crawled farther out of the closet, moving unnaturally fast on all fours. Bones cracked loudly beneath its skin. Crack. Crack. Its neck twisted too far as it smiled at me. Then all at once, every window in the apartment shook violently. Knock. 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 The sounds came from every direction now. Living room. Kitchen. Bedroom. Even the bathroom mirror started vibrating, as if something enormous outside the building was trying to get in. The copy of me slowly stood upright, still smiling. Then it pointed toward the front door. A shadow suddenly appeared beneath it. Tall, massive, far too large to belong to a human, and the wet, raspy voice whispered from the other side. Open the door. I stared at the shadow beneath the front door, unable to breathe. It slowly moved from side to side like something huge was standing in the hallway outside. Then came another knock. Knock. The entire apartment trembled. The copy of me kept smiling motionlessly in the middle of the bedroom. Water dripped from its fingers onto the floor. Its white eyes never blinked. I stepped backward until my legs hit the wall. What do you want from me? The copy tilted its head unnaturally far, then answered using my voice again. You already belong to him. A loud metallic screech suddenly echoed through the apartment. The elevator. I heard it moving somewhere outside in the hallway, slowly climbing upward, floor by floor. Ding! 11th floor. Ding! 12th floor. Silence. My heart nearly stopped. Something was now standing outside my apartment. Then came the sound of wet footsteps approaching the door. Step. Drag. Step. Drag. The shadow beneath the door grew darker, bigger, as if whatever stood outside was bending down toward the floor. Then a voice whispered from the hallway. Not the creature's voice. Mine. Let me in. I felt tears running down my face. The copy inside the room smiled wider. It learned you Then every light in the apartment exploded at once. Pop! Glass shattered everywhere. Darkness swallowed the apartment again. I screamed as something moved violently through the hallway. Fast. Too fast. The wet footsteps rushed toward my bedroom. Step drag, step drag, step drag. The copy suddenly lunged toward me, its mouth opening impossibly wide. I barely dodged before it slammed into the wall behind me. The sound of bones breaking filled the room. Crack. But it immediately twisted its body back into place, still smiling. I ran out of the bedroom in panic. The apartment hallway looked wrong now. Longer than before. The walls stretched unnaturally far into darkness, and every framed picture hanging there showed the same thing. Me, standing at the window, looking outside. Dozens of different versions of me. Some crying, some smiling, some with black empty eyes. My stomach turned violently. Then I heard the front door unlocking by itself. Click. Slowly, very slowly. The door creaked open. Cold black water flooded into the apartment from the hallway outside, and something massive began crawling through the doorway. At first I only saw its fingers. Long, pale, dragging across the floor. Then more arms appeared. Too many arms, all bending in different directions. The creature squeezed itself slowly into the apartment like it was too large for the hallway, and all across its body human faces opened their eyes at once. Hundreds of them, all staring directly at me. Then every mouth smiled together and spoke in the same wet, broken voice. "We've been waiting for you." I couldn't move. The creature kept crawling into the apartment impossibly slowly. Its body twisted unnaturally through the doorway like something without bones. Arms dragged across the floor. Faces blinked and smiled along its skin. Some whispered. Some cried. Some just stared at me with empty eyes. The black water continued spreading through the apartment around its body. Cold. Thick. Almost alive. I stumbled backward trying to breathe. Then one of the faces on the creature suddenly spoke with my mother's voice. "You were always afraid of being alone." My chest tightened painfully. Another face opened its eyes. This time my ex-boyfriend. "You wanted silence, remember?" More faces started talking over each other. Friends. Family. Voices I recognized from years ago. All speaking directly to me. All smiling. My mind started breaking apart under the noise. "Stop." The creature crawled closer, its white eyes glowing brighter in the darkness. Then all the voices suddenly stopped together. Silence filled the apartment. And one face near, the center of the creature, slowly opened its mouth wider than the others. It was the woman from the phone calls, except now her face was fused into the creature's skin. Crying. Still alive? She looked directly at me. "Don't listen to him." The creature immediately screamed, a horrible sound that shook the walls. Several faces twisted violently as if trying to pull away from the body. The woman kept speaking through tears. "You still have time? What are you talking about?" The creature dragged itself closer faster now, its fingers cracking against the floor. "You have to wake up before 3:33. I looked at the time on my shattered phone lying nearby. 3:31. My blood froze. The woman's face trembled inside the creature. "You never escaped the first night." The apartment light suddenly flickered back on for 1 second, and in that flash I saw something horrifying. The living room window was completely shattered. Broken glass covered the floor. And outside the building there was no city anymore. Only darkness. Endless black emptiness stretching forever. The lights instantly died again. The creature laughed softly, then whispered with hundreds of voices at once. "You already fell." My stomach dropped. Images suddenly flashed through my mind. The first night, the knocking, the curtain, the hand outside the window, then myself standing too close to the glass, and something pulling me violently outward into the dark. I screamed and grabbed my head. "No." The woman inside the creature cried harder. "Remember?" More memories flooded back. The fall, the cold air, the impossible faces outside the building watching me drop. Then nothing. Complete darkness. The creature slowly lifted one long arm toward me. "All this time you've been inside me." And the clock changed to 3:32 a.m. My entire body went numb. The creature's words echoed inside my head. "All this time you've been inside me." I backed away, shaking uncontrollably. "No, that's not possible." But deep down I already knew the truth. The memories were becoming clearer now. The first night, the shattered window, the feeling of falling. I had never escaped. The apartment around me suddenly flickered like a broken screen. For one horrifying second, the walls disappeared completely, and I saw what was really surrounding us. Darkness. An endless black void filled with floating windows. Thousands of them, each one showing different people trapped inside apartments. Crying, screaming, begging for help. Some were clawing at the glass while pale hands dragged them backward into the dark. The apartment returned instantly, but now I couldn't stop shaking. The woman's face inside the creature looked directly at me. "You have one chance left." The clock on my phone changed again. 3:33 a.m. Every face on the creature suddenly smiled wider. At the exact same moment, every window in the apartment exploded inward. glass rained across the floor. An enormous scream echoed through the building. Not from the creature. From outside, something much bigger was moving in the darkness beyond the apartment. The walls trembled violently. The creature slowly turned its head toward the shattered living room window, and for the first time it looked afraid. Then a massive white eye opened outside the apartment, far larger than the window itself. My breathing stopped instantly. The eye stared directly into the room without blinking. Another eye opened beside it, then another. Dozens of giant white eyes floating in the darkness outside the building. Watching us, the creature began backing, away from the window, dragging its twisted body across the flooded floor. The woman trapped inside its skin started screaming. Run. Suddenly, the apartment floor cracked beneath my feet. Black water burst upward through the cracks. Hands immediately shot out from below, trying to grab my legs. I ran toward the hallway without thinking. Behind me, the creature screamed as something outside grabbed it violently. The sound was unbearable. Hundreds of voices crying all at once. I glanced back for 1 second. Huge fingers made entirely of shadows were pulling the creature through the broken window into the darkness outside. And all the faces attached to its body were screaming for help. Even the creature itself sounded terrified now. The entire apartment began collapsing around me. Walls split open. Ceiling lights burst. The hallway stretched endlessly ahead like a nightmare. Then at the very end of the hallway, I saw a red door. The same red door from my memories. Light poured through the cracks around it. Warm. Bright. Real! I sprinted toward it while the apartment collapsed behind me. The sounds around me became deafening. Screaming, knocking, glass breaking. Knock, knock, knock. The entire building shook violently. I finally reached the red door and grabbed the handle. But before I could open it, something wrapped around my ankle. A pale, wet hand emerging from the darkness below. Then another hand grabbed my other leg. And another, dozens of them pulling me backward, while voices whispered together. Stay with us forever. I screamed and grabbed the red door handle with both hands, while the wet hands pulled harder on my legs. Their fingers felt freezing cold, like dead skin soaked in water for years. More hands emerged from the darkness beneath the hallway floor. Dozens of them, grabbing my clothes, my arms, my hair. The whispers became louder. Don't leave. You belong here now. Stay with us. I cried desperately, trying to pull myself toward the light leaking through the door. Behind me, the apartment continued collapsing into darkness. The walls twisted unnaturally. The ceiling cracked open, revealing endless black void above. And somewhere behind all of it, I could still hear the massive creature outside the building screaming. Then one voice cut through all the others. The woman from the phone calls. Open the door now. With the last bit of strength, I twisted the handle. The red door burst open instantly. Blinding white light flooded the hallway. The hands around my body immediately started burning. Their screams echoed violently around me. I kicked free from their grip and fell forward through the doorway. For a moment, everything disappeared. No apartment. No darkness. No voices. Only white light. Warm. Silent. Peaceful. Then I opened my eyes, gasping for air. Bright hospital lights hung above me. Machines beeped nearby. My chest hurt every time I breathed. At first, I couldn't understand where I was. A nurse noticed I was awake and immediately called for a doctor. People rushed into the room, speaking too fast for me to process. Then finally, the doctor asked softly, "Can you tell me your name?" I stared at him in confusion before answering. "How long have I been here?" The doctor exchanged a strange look with the nurse. "Almost 2 weeks." A cold feeling spread through my chest. What happened to me? The doctor hesitated, then answered carefully. "You were found unconscious behind your apartment building." My hand started shaking instantly. "No," he nodded slowly. "Witnesses said you fell from the 12th floor." The room suddenly felt freezing cold. I remembered the fall. The darkness outside the window. The creature pulling me. I looked down at my body, expecting broken bones everywhere. But aside from bruises and cuts, I was alive. That made no sense. The doctor continued speaking, but I barely heard him. Because at that exact moment, I noticed something written faintly on the hospital room window. 3 small words traced into the fogged glass from the outside. "He found you." I froze, staring at the message on the hospital window. "He found you." The letters slowly dripped downward through the condensation, as if someone had written them with wet fingers from the outside. My heart started pounding so hard it hurt. The hospital room was on the 15th floor. There shouldn't have been anyone outside that window. The doctor kept talking, but his voice sounded distant now, muffled. Unreal. I couldn't stop staring at the glass. Then slowly, very slowly, a pale hand pressed against the outside of the window. I stopped breathing. The fingers dragged downward, leaving wet streaks behind. The nurse noticed my expression and turned toward the window, but the hand vanished instantly. There's nobody there. She smiled nervously, trying to calm me down, but I knew what I saw. That night I couldn't sleep. Every sound inside the hospital made my chest tighten. Footsteps in the hallway, machines beeping, doors opening somewhere far away. Around 3:07 in the morning, my room suddenly became colder. The lights flickered once. Then my phone vibrated on the bedside table. Unknown number. My blood turned to ice. With shaking hands, I answered. For several seconds, there was only breathing. Slow. Wet. Then the familiar, raspy voice whispered, "You opened the door." The call ended immediately. Tears filled my eyes. I pressed the nurse button beside the bed repeatedly. Nobody came. The hallway outside my room had become completely silent. Then I heard it. Very soft at first, almost gentle. Knock. I stared at the hospital window in horror. Knock. 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 The glass trembled slightly. And outside the window, dozens of pale faces slowly appeared in the darkness, watching me, smiling, more and more of them emerging from the blackness beyond the building. Some pressed their hands against the glass. Others simply stared. Then in the middle of them, I saw the woman from the phone calls, crying, terrified. She mouthed 2 words silently through the glass. "Don't look." But it was too late, because behind all the faces, something enormous began moving in the darkness, far bigger than the hospital itself. I saw dozens of giant white eyes opening one after another, and then came the sound again, closer than ever before. Knock, knock, knock. The entire hospital window cracked slowly down the center, and the last thing I heard before the lights went out was that wet, smiling voice whispering directly outside the glass. "You thought you woke up?